All right. So, hey everyone, I'm Fazan, and I'm the CEO slash project manager of our team, Team Synergy. So we've worked very hard to create a really cool app for you called Rocket Riders. It's a spaceship themed shooting game designed to bring people together. And so part of my job was to contribute to the front end of our app. And then another big part of my job was to generate and maintain an environment which was conducive to my team producing work of really good quality and also conducive to their professional development. Now, I'm going to introduce you to my other teammates.
Hi there, my name is Chris. I'm the co-CTO and full-stack software engineer on this team. During this project, I had to teach myself React to build our wonderful website, and I also contribute to the game.
Yeah, hi, my name's Will. I'm the other co-CTO of our team. I'm more of a back-end guy. I enjoy DevOps stuff and explorations into various technological forays.
So before we speak more about our game, I just wanted to briefly touch on our team's mission. So our team's mission is to create beautiful apps which bring people together. So anytime we lost focus, so our mission was our North Star, right? So anytime we lost focus or were assaulted by feature creep, we invoked our mission to correct our path. Our mission has allowed us to weather many storms. And in terms of project inspiration, we wanted non-technologists to easily use and understand our app. And so we wanted to build upon a simple core. The analogy that our team used was our core was like a prompt for writing an essay. You get some structure, you get some subject material. But other than that, it's up to you to create what you needed to create. And neither of us had ever created a game before, so it was a really interesting challenge. And what having that simple core allowed us to do was create our own AI, which we have done successfully. And we also rewrote a good portion of the Phaser 3 physics engine, which we also did successfully.
Now I'm going to explain the technologies that we use within, or the core technologies that we use within our game. Phaser 3 was a big one. It's the JS library that we used to create our game. We used AWS to host our product. We used Nginx as a web server that hosts our website. We created our website with React.js. We used HTML and CSS for web development.
Okay, so this code you see on the screen, it was actually written in JavaScript, but for the purposes of our presentation, the code that you will see will actually be pseudocode, but it's all JavaScript. So to give you some background, this particular piece of code, it's a part of the central system in our game. We actually made our own custom ship class to extend different ship objects from. So all the little ships you'll see flying around the screen instantiate that class. But this update method is from that class, so that what happens is in the game, there's an update method that gets called every so often. And in that update method of the game, every time we call the update method of all the little ships. So this actually updates the speed, the acceleration. Basically, it takes in the controls from the user and updates the state of the ship accordingly. There's also a flag there for simple control. It's just labeled simple control. That allows us to switch between two separate control schemes. These are two core algorithms within our game. The one on the left is an example of one of the AIs that Fazan mentioned that we implemented. So it's fairly straightforward. If there's no target, it selects a target. And then if it's too far away from the ship, it moves towards it very slowly. If it's too close to the ship, it actually kind of backs up a little. Now, it doesn't really regard side-to-side motion, so that way it kind of ends up circling the ship, surrounding it. And then it has a random chance to shoot at the ship, and it's always pointed towards it. The algorithm on the right is actually for collisions. So that's when a bullet hits a ship, you got to make the bullet disappear, you got to make the ship disappear, and you got to make an explosion appear on the same spot.
So in terms of process and collaboration, we implemented agile project management to build upon and iterate our app. And most of our collaboration was actually done in person. So if you ask, and we've done that because we've noticed that produces the best results. If you ask any one of the Holberton founders about in-person collaboration, they'll tell you that students who collaborate in person do actually perform better. So we understood the value of that. And then so we did that for a while. However, with the recent predicament that we've all been a part of, we've had to shift a good portion of our collaboration to platforms like Zoom and Slack. And because of the adaptive excellence that my team had displayed, we were able to do that very well and very seamlessly. So in terms of timeline, by the end of the first week, ending on February 27th, we decided that we wanted to use Phaser.js. We weighed the pros and cons, and we determined that that was the best at that time, that was the best library for us to use. And then we just started playing around with it and experimenting. For the week ending on March 5th, we actually devoted a lot of time to professional development. So Will and I actually attended Hack TCNJ, the College of New Jersey's annual hackathon. And for those of you who aren't aware of what hackathons are, they're 24 to 48-hour coding frenzies where you meet cool people, you learn a lot of cool stuff, and hopefully by the end of it, you'll have a cool app that you built to show off. And so Will and I learned a ton about web dev, a ton about workflow, and what we learned there, we actually implemented into our app ourselves. So it's a very fruitful, so hackathons are very fruitful endeavors, and we recommend any beginning junior software engineers or students to actually attend those because you do learn a lot. And then just during the last couple of weeks, we focused on just ironing out technical difficulties and then integrating the app onto our website.
Speaking of technical difficulties, one of the biggest challenges we had to overcome was Phaser 3's bad documentation. Phaser 3 is a fairly new language, so that being said, Phaser 3 has a lot. Well, Phaser 3's documentation is still a bit underdeveloped. One of the kind of challenges that one of the specific challenges that we faced was getting our actual object to move. This would have been a easy task had the documentation been good enough to teach us the methods, but the documentation wasn't that great, so we had to figure it out on our own.
Yeah. One of the other things that's related to that was the Rex UI plugin. That was a plugin for Phaser 3 that allows you to have really nice looking UIs in your game. But in this case, it wasn't just bad documentation. It was just wrong documentation. They had like examples, very specific examples. You would type them in character for character, and it would just go wrong. It just wouldn't work out of the box, and there was no indication as to why. One of the ways we got around that is we just installed the specific part of the Rex UI plugin that we were interested in, because we only needed one little part of it.
So since we're on the topic of challenges and problems, a couple problems that we were actually proactive in preventing were problems in communication and perspective. So one of the reasons we formed our team the way we did is because Chris, Will, and I actually share a lot of overlapping values. So because our values overlap so well, we were able to prevent serious problems in communication and perspective, which can totally destroy a software engineering project.
Now we're going to go over the demo. So this is the starting animation that you see at the beginning of the page. This animation was created using Lottie and After Effects. I actually learned this at a local event called Code Forward at Digital Surgeons. But continue with the actual website. As you can see here, we have neat thumbnails of our crew. We have the extensive list of the technologies that we used. If you hover over them, we actually have little snippets about how they were implemented within our project. We have 3 big features, but now we're going to show you the game.
All right, so this is the game that we built. 1 second. There we go. Now we got the sound. So as you can see, on the main menu, we have 2 different types of AI playing themselves. The blue is one AI and the orange is another AI. If we jump right in, we actually have characters to give a short introduction. One of the things I hate about games is where you just jump in and they just pop you in a world and they don't tell you anything. There's no introduction. We wanted to avoid that. So we actually had the members of our team in anime form give the introduction to this game world, the situation, and the controls. So the basics are pretty simple. It's WASD to move, spacebar to fire, shift gives you a special move, and then you also can press V if you don't like the simple controls, and then you can rotate your ship. Same controls otherwise, you use space and and shift to the special move. Also, this AI you're seeing right now is the first example of our AIs. It's the most basic one, just follows a sine wave pattern and shoots occasionally. This green one, they just kind of circle around you. This was the example that we showed of the AI. So you see they try and surround you and they just generally shoot in your direction. In a minute, you'll see the third AI that we're going to display. That's these red guys. They actually hit you and explode. They don't actually shoot ever. So let me see if I can hit one. This is harder in practice. There we go. Yeah, so anyway, I may have spawned too many enemies here. Chris, can you give me a hand?
Got you, bro.
Oh,
That's
yeah, there you
great.
go. So consistent with our mission of bringing people together, we also included multiplayer in our game. So now there's 2 of us, and we get to shoot all the baddies. What
That's
fun,
good, bro.
Yeah.
It's so great.
Are you having fun?
Definitely, man. I'm having a blast.
Oh, I see what you did there. Yeah. So there we go. So there's more other cool stuff for our game. And you'll have to check it out for yourself because we didn't cover everything.
So thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedules in order to allow us to display our app to you. We hope you visit and explore thefunonline.tech, which is the website you just saw. It hosts our game, and it also has links to our LinkedIn and Twitter profiles. We hope you check us out. And then, folks, I just haven't asked if you like. So we worked really hard on this game, and if you like our game and exploring our website, we hope you share our website on LinkedIn and Twitter. And I just want to say, so this project was actually not about developing an app. It was about a team of people coming together and learning. And so if there's anything you remember about my app, if there's only one thing you can remember, just remember that Chris and Will are, my team is exceptional. Chris and Will are not only exceptional software engineers, they're exceptional people.
Thanks a lot, Faizan. You were a great leader during this whole thing.
And a fantastic software engineer. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. So we're going to now move into Q&A, again, starting with the judges. So if you have any questions or feedback, just use the raise your hand feature. Gary, you are unmuted now.
How's it going, Gary?
Good.
Hey, Gary.
Hey, great job, guys. A little feedback, then a question. I did appreciate what you said about the beginning about having a mission and focus. I think that's super important. I had a little discussion earlier this morning at work about some product features, and we have to remind ourselves, what problem are we trying to solve? Because it's very easy to get off into technical details and things like that and forget about what you're trying to do. So I liked seeing that. At the very end there, you talked about having multiplayer, and I'm curious if you could talk about some of the technology there. How were you getting inputs from 2 players, and does it display on 2 different browsers? Do they communicate? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's just local multiplayer for now. In order to do like full multiplayer, like network multiplayer, we would have had to do a client server architecture, and this was more of a client architecture. So it's 2 different sets on the same keyboard.
And another constraint that we had was a lack of time, but this is a future. This is something to work on in the future.
Yeah,
we plan to implement soon.
It was one of the features we were definitely going to implement, but then due to time reasons, we had to actually cut it out. So we still included a version of it with the local multiplayer.
Gotcha. And one other question I saw on the technologies Flask, and you talked about the backend website. Was that pretty much just the container for the app, and then the app ran entirely inside as a JavaScript app on the page?
So funny story. We actually deployed it using Nginx, but the Flask was what we used when we were developing it. We made like a mini development server on localhost so that we could actually use it on localhost instead of having to like put it on a server somewhere in order to develop it.
Okay.
We just made a very simple Flask development server.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Yeah. Yep, no problem.
Hey guys, Omar here. So Gary covered kind of the first question that I had was about multiplayer and how it's implemented.
Mhm.
I'll push a bit further here just for the thought exercise. If you were to implement a multiplayer, multi-machine infrastructure, how do you think that would look like?
I think we would actually have to not use Phaser 3. We would have to switch to something on Node.js and make the game actually server side, and then have clients connect to it. That seems to be the simplest way.
Cool. Very good. The other tiny feedback that I had, and I wanted to give it also to the previous team. So this is a presentation of product and engineering together. In very interesting way to present things that helps engineers really get how things were built is a little code/infrastructure diagram. You guys did a decent job here. At least there was a little representation of the stack and what it looked like. I think that's key because I look at it and within 15 seconds I can understand and know, okay, there are like 5 bricks. This is how they talk to each other, and this is how they communicate with the end client. So maybe that's like a tiny improvement point. Otherwise, the presentation was really good. I really liked it.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions? Any of the judges? If not,
There you
we'll
go.
open the floor up for anyone else who might have questions or feedback. So Ramdas, you are unmuted now.
Hi guys, a very nice demo. Really like the game. It reminded me of one of the probably very early video games I played, probably my first video game. Thanks for the demo, really appreciate that. And I would like to also echo what one of the earlier judges were saying is the kind of the process flow or the flow diagram you were showing on how the components interacted. That was really helpful because personally have not done too much of coding on these platforms, but that diagram really helped me understand what you guys were trying to do. Really appreciate that. So it's more of a feedback. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, and Alex, I'm unmuting you now.
Cool, thanks. You talked a little bit about how you guys went to the hackathon. I love hackathons. What types? So you mentioned you took some things back with you from that event. Kind of weird to do it in the middle of your delivery cycle. Can you talk about a little bit more in depth about what you brought back and kind of how you implemented things that you learned at the hackathon?
Yeah, we so at the hackathon, we created a really, Will and I actually traveled to the hackathon and we met up with 2 other students there from different universities. So it was a lot of fun in terms of like what we brought back. We gained a certain amount of comfortability working with servers at that hackathon because the way our app was deployed was through an Amazon it wasn't through an Amazon web service, through a Google.
So eventually it was DigitalOcean. We just
DigitalOcean, yeah. I mean, so essentially we just got really good at getting comfortable with servers. We ran into sure, we're trying to build a really cool app in 24 hours, so you run into problems there. We just got comfortable being uncomfortable over there. Yeah. It was really cool. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Chuck, you're unmuted now.
Thank you. I just had one quick question. When you showed us the code snippets, you showed us pseudocode. Was there a reason why you did that? Did you underestimate our ability to understand the code, or what?
No. It didn't intend it as like I didn't intend it to look arrogant. No, it was more that the length of the code was too long if we just included it. The logic was fairly simple, but to actually implement it was fairly long in one function.
And what was your feeling then about the code? Was it not very self-documenting then?
Well, it was just, if we put it on the screen, it would have to be like really small. Like it was pretty self-documenting, but for many operations, there are about like 2 or 3 operations for one atomic operation.
Okay, I would like to have seen even a small snippet of the
Oh.
actual code to get a feel for the style that you guys do use in comments, etc.
Yeah, apologies for that.
Yeah, I will say, since I've worked with Will on projects, we've attended hackathons together, we won hackathons together. He writes code really well. His coding style is very good. It's just the way that Phaser 3 was structured necessitated that kind of coding style, that sort of just the way everything was bundled together in the code. It sort of necessitated that. So I mean, so we did the best we could, the way we should. I guess that's the best way to put it.
But probably would, you know, like you say, it would have been nice to show like a little code snippet.
Yeah.
At least, just to give you an idea.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so Omar, we'll go back to you, and this will probably be the last question that we have time for.
So question maybe for you, Caitlin, actually. You guys, I guess, shared the scoring rubric with the students before the presentation, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I could tell because the way the slides follow the order of the rubric is very precise. The problem that gives, and that's just, I'm nitpicking at this point because the presentation was really good, so I'm trying to give some feedback. But you guys did a presentation of your code snippet, of your mission, of the project, what it looks like, but I didn't see a single picture of what it looks like until the live demo. So when I was looking at the code snippets or at what the project looks like, I was having a hard time following until I saw that last picture. Then it all fell together properly. Little recommendation is maybe next time start by saying, hey, this is what we built, and now we're gonna walk you through the challenges or some code snippets. Even though the live demo happens later, a picture would have made this instantly 100 times more understandable.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Thank you for the feedback.
That's actually pretty good.
Okay, and we will have time for one more. So Shoshana.
Hi, great job on the presentation, guys. I know that this is an interesting format and way to do an end of cohort outreach. So I just wanted to commend you on that. Some quick question I had for you guys. You mentioned that you used Agile program management in your development process, but you didn't really speak much to that. Can you give me an example of how you use it?
Yeah, I mean, just yeah. So just on what I've read on the what's it called, Agile Manifesto, like having a core and then just constantly building on top of it. It doesn't have to be perfect, right? But you just have to constantly build on top of it and iterate upon it. I will say that our team is unique in that it's like a small team, and so having that version of Agile, tuning that version of Agile that for our team worked really well. And one of the tools we actually experimented with, we wish we had more time to actually use, was Jira. Yeah, we experimented with Jira. We wish we had more time to learn it a bit more, but with the limited time we had, we worked that. So yeah, I mean, I guess. So one of the in terms of Agile Manifesto, it's responsive, right? Your response, how you confront problems should be responsive, right? And so the way we dealt with that is when we were dealt with the predicament of COVID-19, right? I think we didn't anticipate it. We sort of responded to it, and we responded really well.
And you know, on top of that, every day that we programmed in this, it was basically like a mini sprint. We would have like some feature we were aiming at for the end of the day. And Fazan was very clear on that. He'd say like, okay, by the end of the day, we want this. And we would aim for that. And then we would essentially have like a daily stand up at the end of every day. Like, okay, how did we do? How can we improve? And then every week we also had one. So essentially like extreme programming, but you know, just over only 3 weeks.
Yeah, great job. Thank you.